What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of All Things Super. I am one of your hosts, Spider, and I am joined by the man himself, Mr. VIP Frankie Washington. How are you doing today, sir?
It's me. It's me. I am infinitely awesome. Thank you for asking, sir. How about yourself?
I am doing wonderful. It is a very beautiful day. Don't know how long it's going to be a beautiful day because they got some rain in the forecast, but that's neither here nor there because sometimes rain is welcome. But no, I'm doing great.
I'm
Doing
singing in
fantastic.
the rain,
Happy
dancing
to
in
be
the
here for
rain,
another episode. Singing and dancing in the
doing
rain
some
until it starts thundering, then you need to get
singing
inside.
in the rain. Well, it all depends if you like that thunder. Down under, the thunder in the sky. Never mind. That was going somewhere else. This is it. This is your favorite part of the week. This is your favorite time whenever you're watching this show, whether it be day or night. It's us. It's
It is
us.
us. It's
We're
us.
here. We're
You know who we
back.
are.
You came for us, right?
Right.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
Absolutely. But if you don't
While
know,
you're here,
go ahead.
hey, I want to tell them why they're here. Since you like us, hit the like button. And since you subscribe to us, hit the subscribe button. It's right. It's right. It's down there somewhere. Click these, those, and this, and then subscribe to it.
Don't know what those hand motions were.
Snooker! It's Snooker. Okay. Welcome to all the first timers. What did you click on? Why was this show recommended to you? We're in somebody's recommendations.
Oh, God. That would be a
That's
nice
what it
thing to
is.
see. Let us know if you were watching another video before you clicked on this video. If this video was recommended to you, let us know what video you were watching previous to this. Let us know in the comments what video you were watching that recommended you to come see us. We'd like to know where our viewers, where they're coming from. So that'd be pretty cool to see. But yeah, leave that in the comment below.
And if you like chicken, that's very important. Fried chicken in particular. Because who doesn't like fried chicken?
I actually knew somebody in elementary school that didn't like fried chicken. But before we get to that, if this is your first time seeing, if this is your first time watching or listening to All Things Super, every week we have a new episode and it comes out where we take the latest and the greatest of your superpowered movies, TV shows, trailers. We react to them, we watch them, we review them, and we break it down to answer the question, is it super? But if you like that, again, like Mr. VIP Frankie Washington said, you can go ahead to subscribe to the channel, follow us on all of your major podcast streaming platforms, and don't forget to leave us a like, leave us a comment, let us know what you think about the show. But we are going to get into something brand new this week, something brand fresh, hot off the presses, new to your eyes, to our eyes. We're talking about episode 1 of the new Disney Plus series.
Words. What? Adjectives.
I was wondering. I was waiting for that one. I was waiting for
there
that.
You go.
Descriptions. But we're talking about episode 1 of the new Disney Plus series, She-Hulk, Attorney at Law.
Attorney at Law. You have to say the whole thing, like
a Tribe Called Quest.
Tribe Called Quest. A pimp named Slickback, Mr. VIP, Frankie Washington. She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. It all goes together. What's going on with She-Hulk? So we understanding that this is Jennifer Walters, Bruce Banner's cousin.
Why you had to say it like
that? How should I have said it? She's not his cousin?
No, I'm not saying that she's not his cousin. You say it's cousin.
You gotta say it with the testes. Cousin. You gotta come from under. How would a woman say it? Cousins. So this is cousin of Bruce Banner. And she, we departed from the
I was just about to stop you.
Let me just get it out the way.
Get it out the way. Let them know.
For those who have not seen She-Hulk, it's on Disney Plus. By all means, if you want to see She-Hulk without having it being spoiled for you, this is your official spoiler warning right now. Don't you go another inch into this video and expect us not to spoil it for you, because we're going to spoil it. If you haven't seen She-Hulk, That's it. But if you'd like to see us talk about some ratchet shit, that's what you're here for. And I'm gonna give it to you. Okay, talking about that cousin, She-Hulk, attorney at law. So Jennifer Walters is Bruce Banner's cousin. Bruce, is it? They changed the name so many times. So he's
Did they?
in, yeah, because he was David Banner in the TV show.
In the TV show, way back when.
And so then he was, what was the other one?
Wow.
I don't know. Then he became Bruce Banner, and then Kylie Jenner and Bruce Campbell, and then none of what I'm saying is making no sense.
Off the rails.
Yeah, that's what I do, baby. Welcome to the show. So his cousin is in a car accident with Bruce and gets blood in her womb. Now, it's very important that we notice this because in the Incredible Hulk, which the MCU has claimed is canon, we heard Bruce talk about it many times that he almost broke Harlem. So they're canonizing that movie, The Incredible Hulk, was played by a different actor, which was Ed Norton at the time. A lot of people have their feelings about it. I think overall, it's a movie that we can review later on. And the point is, it's canon now. So those things happen. In that movie, we seen Bruce's blood fall into Mr. Blue's or Mr. Green's. No, Mr. Blue was Bruce was for Mr. Green.
Right.
In his brain, he had a wound and the blood dropped in there, and you can see he wasn't really doing well. But you saw this sinister smile at the end because for those who follow the comics, we realized that he was becoming the leader, which is a Hulk villain who has superior intelligence. They always try to downplay Hulk like he's not intelligent, but as you notice the transition of the Hulk overall, he's gaining more and more intelligence to the point that we got small Hulk. So we haven't seen anything like that since this movie. Inside She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, we got a throwback to that because Bruce was in his human form, which he explained that he has a device that was able to lock him into his human form so he can do, stuff. He was wounded. Clearly, it makes sense. He got his blood into her arm. And because they share similar DNA on some spectrum, she was able to become She-Hulk. Big depiction from what's in the comics. In the comics, Jennifer Walters was shot by a mob boss because she was defending someone else, and they just wanted to take out the DA because she's a district attorney, similar to Harvey Dent. So they wanted her off the case. Bruce gave her a blood transfusion to save her life. This plays out better on many levels because, in my opinion, the Bruce that we have in the MCU is a very mindful, thoughtful individual. If you notice throughout the iterations of Bruce, he's dealing with the destruction that the Hulk causes. He has nothing but remorse about everything that the Hulk smashes. He really feels like the Hulk is a monster until he got on Sakaar, which Bruce was nowhere in the picture. He was trapped in Hulk form for 2 years, while Hulk was living his best life. He was a gladiator. He was praised. He had all the accolades that come along with it. He had his own spot. He could do what he want, and then he go out there and he smash stuff. First of all, I think when Hulk comes back, he's gonna be pissed off. His sweet life with Zach and Cody is gone. But it's Disney, same universe. And now we have the blood that's into Jennifer, and she's now running off, obviously terrified because she doesn't know what's happening. She has these new Hulk powers, and now we see. I think the way that they did this origin story was probably the best way to do an origin story. Whether you knew about her in the comics or not, they say this happened. This is what happened, and now we're here. There was not enough time to go anywhere else, but I was content with the storyline of the backstory. How about you, Spider? What do you think about the backstory in itself?
I think that the backstory in and of itself, I like the way that they introduced it because it wasn't one of those things where we had to go through this long, drawn out journey of where Jennifer Walters is now versus how she got there. Like we said, spoilers, full spoilers about the episode. So we're already so we're introduced to Jennifer Walters. She's the deputy district attorney. She has a case that she's trying, and she is getting ready to deliver her closing arguments. And so before she leaves to go to the courtroom, she's leaving her office. Her best friend Nikki is saying that if all else fails, you can turn Hulk and then just do what you need to do. So Jennifer stops, acknowledges the camera, and say, "Yes, I am a Hulk. Are you waving me off? Or you?"
I'm waving because you said, Nikki, and you didn't do it. Oh, Nikki, you're so fine. You're so fine. You blow my mind. Hey, Nikki. Hey, Nikki. I was just wondering where that part was. Because you can't do Nikki without the old Nikki, you're so fine.
But it's Mickey.
I got it. I did it for you. I did it for you. You don't have to worry about it.
The song is Mickey.
Huh?
The song is Mickey.
If you take that half off that M, you get an N, and it works. It works so well.
But so Jennifer acknowledges the camera, which there are going to be some fourth wall breaks in this series. Some people are not happy about it because some people are like, "Oh, she's trying to be Deadpool," when in all actuality, in the comics, Jennifer Walters, She-Hulk, was breaking the fourth wall before Deadpool was even created.
Years before Deadpool was even thought of. So
we're going to just squash that right now. She-Hulk did it first. She-Hulk did it first. And so, but Jennifer acknowledges the camera. She said, "Yes, I am a Hulk. You're probably wondering how I became a Hulk." And then they immediately go into the backstory. And it's not even a long, drawn-out thing explaining the familial connection between Bruce and her. They're in a car. They get into an accident. We're going to talk about exactly why they got into an accident in a little bit. But got into an accident. She got a cut on her arm. Bruce got a cut on his head. And we know that, well, if you know, head wounds bleed very heavily. So Bruce, bleeding out of his head, drips into the open wound. I've seen a lot of medical shows.
Okay. By out here, head busting, Wanda style.
Don't worry about what I do outside the podcast. Don't.
Keep dream walking if you want to and cause an incursion.
Gonna keep that on the
Okay.
But like Mr. VIP Frankie Washington said, Bruce, his blood went into the arm of Jennifer Walters. She immediately became a Hulk. A very fast transformation. Of course, turning into or transforming into a Hulk, your emotions, fear, anger, adrenaline can amplify those reactions, turning you into a Hulk. And of course, somebody who just got into a car accident, of course, all of the adrenaline is rushing through your body, so it brought on that transformation. And she immediately, leaves. She runs through the woods. She hulked out. She passed out in the woods. She reverts back to her Jennifer form. And then so we go through this whole backstory of her being trained by Smart Hulk. And we get to see how she developed, how she's able to control her Hulk form, how she can determine when she doesn't transform into She-Hulk and back into Jennifer Walters. We see that initially it's only done when she falls asleep, because when she's asleep, your emotions are sort of regulated while you're asleep. Right. You're in a state of rest. So you revert back to your Jennifer form. But so we get through that whole, and I appreciate that. I felt like this first episode being a majority of not even a training montage, but just sort of like going through the training of Bruce. Like you said, this Smart Hulk is compassionate. He's caring. He's remorseful. He said that he had this whole binder of everything. Like, this is how that I deal with this emotion. This is how I deal with this rage. This is what I would do in this situation. This is how I overcome these things. Because he's remorseful. He doesn't want her or anybody who has to deal with this type of thing, because he's being prepared for any eventuality. He doesn't want them to have to go through the pain and the suffering that he did as being Hulk. But what surprises him is that when Jennifer turns into the Hulk, she's verbal, she's coherent, she maintains her intelligence, she maintains her personality. She doesn't have this other person.
Have an alter personality trying to fight for control.
Exactly.
She's been dealt with her emotions on a very professional and personal level. Right. She's good. She was good. So when she got her Hulk juice, she was just that much more better, to a point that even Bruce said he was jealous because she doesn't have to struggle for control
Right.
over her transformation. Is that a good thing or a bad thing in a sense? A question
I
for the later, I guess.
well, later in the show, probably we'll see how it turns out when it comes to her being able to maintain. Like, it's just something that she's actually able to control, because we saw that even still when she's surprised. When she was sleeping, as we saw in the trailer, Bruce came in with the air horn, blasted in her ear. She wakes up. Of course, she's angry because she's being startled awake like that, but she turned into She-Hulk immediately. So will that be
Mm.
something that comes into play later on in the season? We'll have to wait and find out.
I think we got the answer already. Episode 1, like you said, Nikki said that she was going to have to Hulk out because clearly you had this super advanced someone bursting in. Yes, we know it's Titania, but I'm saying if you're in the situation, you just see somebody bust through the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Do your thing. Do your
Right.
thing. You that thing that you do that now, because and it was so interestingly funny to see. She's like, I really like this outfit because we we don't know the duration, and maybe there was a duration time from the montage to now, and I missed it. We don't know the duration, how long she was in Mexico. We do know that she wanted
Right.
to get back to her life, so she
Mm-hmm.
had to be there for quite some time to master her skills, or to show Bruce that she was in control of her skills. You don't have to worry about me hulking out and going on a
Right.
rampage, because
Going on a
again,
rage. Yeah.
yeah, because that Bruce again become a rage monster. And I think Marvel has done a great job of, and I know a lot of people, and I see this on the internet all the time, they hate where Hulk is right now in the
Mm-hmm.
MCU. They hate the fact that he's down powered, he's downgraded. They're not seeing Marvel, and we talked about this many times.
Yeah.
Marvel is not idiots. These are their characters, and Kevin Feige understands the characters, just like the situation you were thinking about Spider-Man. You're like, well, we're waiting for Spider-Man's origin story. And then you realize that Marvel bypassed his origin story, but at the same time was giving you his origin story. This
Right.
is the Peter you know, but it's not the Peter that you know. And just to make sure it's not the Peter that you know, we're going to even go further and erase him from everybody's. So now that's his origin story. They're not going to go back and kill Uncle
Uncle Ben.
Ben. Uncle
Mm-hmm.
Ben's not there. He already died. Aunt May is dead. That's your loss. Now we're dealing with everything after that. That's his origin story. You don't get, because we saw Uncle Ben die how many times? Too many. So now you see Aunt May die. And it hurts more because we liked Aunt May. We grew
Right.
up with Aunt May. It's like, what the hell? She supported Peter in his Spider-Man adventures.
And that's
Little
a
banana
big
in space.
that's and that's a big difference through the other Spider-Man movies, and even in the Spider-Man comics, and in the other iterations of Spider-Man animated shows. All of these versions that we see Uncle Ben die, we never get to spend a lot of time with Uncle Ben. I feel like between the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, Uncle Ben got killed almost like in the first portion of the movie. We didn't really get to spend any time with Uncle Ben, like, that much. I feel like we got to spend a little bit more time with Uncle Ben in the Amazing Spider-Man, because Peter got in trouble at school, and then Uncle Ben had to go and pick him up and then give him the talk, and they were talking about repairing the basement, the flood in the basement, and all this other kind of stuff. So each iteration we got a little bit more of Uncle Ben, but still not as much time. We got 3 movies with Aunt May. We got 2.5, because Aunt
She
May
was in
died
a
in the third one.
relationship.
Yeah, she was in a
She was with
relationship.
Happy. She called it off. You knew she was working at Feast.
At Feast, right.
And
So we got so much character development with Aunt May. We got a connection with Aunt May. So like you said, when we lost Aunt May, we felt what Peter felt, because this was somebody that we loved. This was somebody that we cherished. This was somebody that we could relate to. Someone who's trying to do good, someone who inspired Peter to do good. And then now all of a sudden they're taken away from us. And so we see,
I
this
insane
character
goblin from
and
another dimension.
Exactly. And so we see this character and what they have to deal with and what they've been through. And so this is something that we can like hold on with us. But like you said, it's different. It's the MCU Peter Parker. You know, we've had our Sony Peter Parkers with Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield. This is the MCU Peter Parker. Just like now, this is the MCU
Hey, don't
Hulk.
forget Miles Morales, buddy. You don't do that. You're a Spiderling yourself. So how you
Well, yes, and I do
Miles?
understand that, but I'm talking in reference to Peter Parker's. I'm talking in reference to Peter
Oh, okay.
Parker's.
I got you. Well, he lost his uncle too.
He,
He lost.
I mean, in a different,
If, if your nephew is named Peter, you might take a vacation. If your sister names her son Peter, just
right.
go ahead and it's not looking good for you.
Yeah, just kind of stay home for a little bit. But like you were saying, this is the MCU's version of the Hulk. So the Hulk has had his own trials and tribulations to deal with. And I saw somebody on TikTok make a really great argument about this version of Smart Hulk. This MCU version of Hulk, he has his own trials, his own tribulations to go through. But it's not necessarily that the Hulk is being depowered, but he is, like you say, it's Smart Hulk. He is on a different emotional playing field. You know, he's not the rage monster who's attacking his friends, who's, you know, tearing down a city in South Africa. You know, we saw that Hulk in Age of Ultron, you know, going just on a rampage, not having any type of kind of hindrance to anything that he did because he's that powerful is because he has that anger. And so we've seen that progression over all of the different movies. So we saw how in Age of Ultron, when after they were able to get him to calm down, he was sitting in the Quinjet. He was like bundled up in a blanket because he knew what was going on. He couldn't stop himself because he was under, you know, Scarlet Witch's spell. And so he was upset. He was, you know, very broken at that point.
It's someone's taking you out of your normal ability of controlling your body. Because again, if you go back and watch it, if you see the CGI on the Hulk, he doesn't even look hulky. He looks like he's sick. His eyes are kind of bloodshot. He's a real rage monster. And it was like there was no stopping him. And it's so funny that Tony was there with us doing with the go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. But in combination with that, until the mist that he sprayed on him kicked in, he still had to keep him occupied. The point of what I was saying, Spider, is you're looking at the evolution of the Hulk, and I don't think we could have got Jennifer Walters unless we had this version of the Hulk, because
absolutely
he's so remorseful. He would never purposely give her his blood. Right. Because he knows that the other side of it's kind of like the original Spider-Man, even though it was kind of poorly done in that situation. He's like, I can't give you Spider-Man's blood because there's no telling what's that going to do to you. That you could create a monster. So it'd be very unresponsible for me to do that. Here's the situation.
Also, in Amazing Spider-Man, kind of like what they're doing in She-Hulk, they eventually like reveal that Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker had a specific genetic marker in his blood that allowed him to become Spider-Man, and for him to give his blood to Harry Osborn at that point, like you were saying, who would have knew what would have happened at that point. So
I talked about this with the missus, and it was like, it's so funny because in the superhero lore, for all those who are listening on the podcast, I did something very dramatic with my hands, not jazz hands, but something very kind of like magical. In the superhero lore, we have to create these uncreatable scenarios for people to get superpowers, because I was telling her there were people that was actually trying to recreate things that happened. So they quickly changed this. And just go to show you how old I am. They quickly started changing these origin stories to things that you could no way possibly recreate.
Right.
So for Daredevil, it's not just he got toxic. He got a mixture of toxic chemicals that went into his eyes.
Right.
That gave him heightened sense. For Spider-Man, it was retcon. It was not just a radioactive spider. He actually had to have a certain level of DNA, and it was genetically coded to him. And You can't get hit with gamma radiation. If you got hit with gamma radiation, you're not going to be a Hulk. You're going to be a stain. I can guarantee you that. So they had to make these things so elaborate, even with the Flash. I remember one episode of the Flash I was watching. I think it was either in Justice League. He had to try to recreate the explosion and the experiment that made him the Flash. Mm-hmm. He damn near died a lot. Like he died. Like he was really hurt. He had to heal. And then try it again because he couldn't be the Flash anymore. So it's not like you could just, oh, well, one day I'm going to be a superhero. I'm just going to do this and I'm good. No. So these origin stories have to be so broad that no one tries it at home. So I don't think we would have got She-Hulk if we didn't get this Hulk on his journey. They got to remember, this Hulk was beat up by Thanos. He got to take that L. Right. That's an L. You lost. There was no Power Stone involved. He just beat the shit out of you, which is always thought was interesting because the angrier the Hulk gets, the more powerful he gets.
Right.
But when Thanos punched him in the throat, all that anger, all that anger was like, this boy real. This dude, there's always somebody bigger and madder, boy. This dude got. It's the first time we heard Hulk groan. He's like, oh, like what?
And then to the point to where it. And we were talking about this person that's inside of you because it's really a distinct personality that we saw in Infinity War. That Hulk believed himself to be the strongest. He believed himself that he was so powerful that nobody could beat him. And then when Thanos beat him, he was humbled to the point to where even when Bruce needed him to come out, Bruce needed to be the Hulk, Hulk refused. Hulk was like, no, I'm not coming out. I'm not about to fight this battle because I don't know who I am anymore. If I am not the strongest, then who am I? And so, like you said, I would have
loved to see on the opposite side, like the internal struggle of Hulk, like just sitting in the curled up, like this dude punched me in the throat and
punched him in the throat, punched him in the kidneys, body slam him, just pick them up.
Body slam. I was waiting for Thanos just to put that boot on his chest and just start saying, I am inevitable. He just beat the shit out of the Hulk. So a lot of the fans are mad that the Hulk is depowered. But if you really are a fan of the Hulk, don't do that. Enjoy the journey of where he's going because it's clear Marvel is not naive to where they take their characters. You will get World Breaker Hulk. And like you were saying, when the ship came, which causes the crash for Jennifer Walters, was a ship from
Sakaar.
And I was telling the missus, I said, I know that ship. It looks like but the colors were different.
Right.
So I was like, what? And then they explained it in the show that it's a messenger ship. Clearly, the Hulk.
Right. Somebody's bringing a message to the Hulk. Or
somebody's trying to get a message. Exactly. And it's not to say that the message wasn't delivered because when She-Hulk became She-Hulk, attorney at law, she ran off into the woods.
Right.
And we followed her. We didn't see what happened with Bruce. Now, the question is, are we going to get that answered in this show? Or are we going to leave that little Easter egg? Because, dab on him. Dab on him. For those who are on the podcast, Spider is throwing spider webs out there, dabbing. He's obviously allergic to awesomeness.
I'm allergic to this explanation. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it's a lot going on. So we don't see Hulk talk to the messenger or if the message was actually delivered. He kind of alluded to it. Spider.
Yes.
Does Hulk have some kids that he left on Sakaar?
He might. He may just well because, like we said,
he was the champion.
He was
the champion. Comes with groupies,
right? So we don't know what happened. We don't know who Hulk was with. We don't know what Hulk did with whoever. There may be a potential son of Hulk out there somewhere in the universe that wanted to send Hulk a message.
So let's just do this too, because there was a very strong allusion to, and which goes in through the series, about Steve Rogers getting it on, right?
Yes.
Jennifer
There was
Walters is
a
obsessed
big
with
question
Chris Evans' ass, and that's okay because that's
trying to
canon
figure
now.
out if Captain America was a virgin or
Died
not.
a virgin, and Bruce confirmed that he got it on the SEO tour,
USO tour.
the USO tour. He didn't say. Did he say it was one of the dancers, or you just said he
No,
got it
he
on at
just
the
said
tour?
during the USO tour. He didn't say
Okay,
who with the type of person during the USO tour.
so here's the thing: we're talking about Steve, but maybe we should be talking about Bruce Hulk. What happened on Sakaar? That do we potentially have Scar? And those who don't know who Scar is actually the Hulk's son.
Mm-hmm.
Could we be looking at the origin story of the Hulk's son is on Sakaar? Maybe the Hulk's son is on Sakaar as a new champion, fucking shit up.
Possibly.
Just fucking it up. A
Quite
lot.
possibly.
It's interesting to see that dynamic because I think that what we're taking is planting seeds of Steve Rogers getting it on. They may be another Captain America somewhere in history as well from Steve Rogers. It's just a thread. I admit it's a thin thread, but they could pull it because of what they're alluding to in the
Right.
show. Hulk is going to be world breaker Hulk at some point. Follow the journey, enjoy the journey, and watch what Marvel does with him. But we're not talking about the Hulk. We're talking about the Hulk's cousin, She-Hulk, attorney at law. Question.
Yes.
We started with this appreciating the backstory, the origin story. Are we at a point now that we just want to get origin stories out the way?
I feel like if we're going to be introducing new characters, we can't introduce new characters without having some type of origin story. You have to be able to have some type of background to explain how they got their powers, or at least how they got to be where they are right now. And like we were saying, this wasn't long, it wasn't drawn out, because sometimes these shows, and not naming any shows recently on Disney Plus,
Moon Knight.
but not even Moon Knight, because we saw Moon Knight even at the end of the first episode. We saw the reveal of the Moon Knight suit, which was appreciated. I don't want to have to go throughout the entire season before I see our hero, who the name of the show is titled after, to be able to see them become that hero. I don't want to have to wait until 4 episodes in before we can see them transform, or 4 episodes in before we can see the suit. Miss Marvel, we didn't get to see the Miss Marvel suit until the last episode, right? But we got her origin story. We got this whole sort of familial backstory as to who she was, and I feel like
You
that
mean when she
had to be
became a paradox?
yeah. That completely
Okay.
kind of left my mind, but yeah, but it's like that. How I'm glad that first episode, just a few minutes in, we see the blood goes into Jennifer's system. She becomes a Hulk. And it's like, okay, now we're going to see what happened afterwards, how she was able to master, or at least become a little bit more proficient on being able to control her emotions, being able to control her Hulk form, and being able to understand what her capabilities are. Because we saw, even through this little sort of, going back and forth with Bruce showing her the different things that she can do, amplifies strength. But with strength, you also have to worry about balance. You have to know your limits. You have to understand what it is that triggers you to be able to become Hulk. And so going through all of that, I just felt like it was explained very well. I felt like the things that he was putting her through was showcasing the things that he's capable of. But I also enjoyed the comedic elements that they put into it, like they did the Hulk jump, and they landed, and then Jennifer landed, and she was like, "Oh man, I am mad." Like it's just things like that, and it's like, you can kind of understand where she's coming from, especially if she feels like she's at this level. She's like, well, I can control this. So going through all of this is sort of not necessarily a waste of her time, but she's like, this is easy to me, because he shows her, throwing the boulder, and then so she throws it. She basically does what he does, throws it a little bit further. And like you said, he was jealous that she was taking it, taking it in stride so easy. So he
certain
picked up
that the
that meteor and just chucked it into this atmosphere.
I am certain that he destroyed a planet.
Yeah, that went somewhere like further than our galaxy could
I would
probably
love
contain
to
it.
see a planet and
Like they're
just
just
see this
like in the
this
next Guardians of
meteor
the
coming.
Galaxy, in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, they're just on some planet and there's just meteor just comes through. Like, where the hell did that come
Just
from?
fly through. Yeah, that would be awesome. It's all connected, so it should work. Now, here's a question that I'm going to ask you, and you
Mm-hmm.
probably say yes, and you probably say no. I will preference it with that's exactly how it is in the comics. Jennifer Walters has complete control over her anatomy. She chooses to stay as She-Hulk because she likes everything that comes along with She-Hulk. By
Right.
us kind of fast forwarding through this origin story, do you feel cheated? Do you feel like there should have been more in this origin story? Because we get the bulk of the origin story, we get training montages, we get a couple of conversations, side conversations about Steve and Tony and how these guys were all close and friends, which I do appreciate. But do you
Right.
feel as though there should have been more in the origin story to necessarily not eat up the time, but give you more of Jennifer?
The one thing that I do wish that I got to see more of, because we see while she's in Mexico and she's with Bruce, she's with Smart Hulk. He's basically
Viva la
trying to tell her
Mexico.
he's basically trying to tell her, like, you have to be careful. You can't go back to your normal life. You're a Hulk now. Being a Hulk comes with responsibilities. You have this power now. You're a superhero.
And with great power.
There must also be great responsibility. But what I do
No,
wish that we got more of was, because Bruce told her that you're a superhero now. She's like, I don't want to be a superhero. I want to go back to my old life. I want to be a
respectfully.
lawyer. I'm just my dream to be a lawyer. I want to be a
She's
lawyer.
working very hard. She got 2 degrees.
Right. And so the only thing that we saw that she went to court, Titania busts through the wall, and so she's hiding behind the desk. Nikki is saying, hey, do your thing, do your thing. This is your time. And she's kind of hesitant about it, but it's a very short hesitation. Now, I wish that we would have gotten at least some more time, just sort of her ignoring, say for instance, if she was leaving the office
Call
one
to
night,
action.
not necessarily a call to action, but say for instance, she leaving the office one night, and maybe we might get it in a future episode, we might not, I don't know. But if she's leaving the office one night and she sees somebody being mugged, if she sees some type of crime going on and she ignores it, but then after she ignores it, it's some, kind of somewhat like what happened with Peter. He ignored the guy that was, stealing, and in turn, that guy ended up killing his Uncle Ben.
Ripple effects.
Right, the ripple effects. Because you have this power, just kind of what Peter said in the MCU. When you have the ability to do something and you don't, and something bad happens because of it, then that's on you. So her dealing with that struggle of not wanting to be a superhero, maybe if we would have saw some repercussions of her not acting, then that leads her to saying, okay, well, fine, now I'm in the courtroom. There's this obviously powered individual who's bursting through the wall. I don't know what she's here for, but I do have the ability to stop her. So I guess that I'm going to have to be the one that stops her.
But here's the beautiful part about how they did it is because that everything that you're saying could have happened already. Mm-hmm. There's no time to placement from when she's training to what she's gone through till this moment in time. So they can easily either put it in this show or do season 2 and throw it back in there where there was a time where she could have done something and she was like, nah, I'm gonna go get some noodles.
Right.
And then, she's reading it in the newspaper the next day when she knew she could have done something.
Right.
True.
Very true.
Jennifer Walters, attorney at law. Here's something that I want Marvel to stop doing. And you can Easter egg this or go back and see it all the time. In the introduction to their characters, there's always the opposition in your testicular character. And you have the opposition always attacking your testicular character.
Your titular character.
Yeah, I said it wrong the first time. Given the opportunity, I'll probably say it wrong again the second time. So they always do the one punch to take them out.
Mm-hmm.
This is not One Punch Man. They can't just do the one punch and take him out. Like I'm looking for fight scenes. I want to see
Right.
some. I want to see some fights, and they always do that. They did it with Moon Knight. They did it with She-Hulk. They did it with Miss Marvel. Remember when she was attacked by all these guys? That she threw one stretchy punch,
Right.
and that's it. You just get the one punch. Cookie cutter, goddamn one punch nonsense.
Yeah.
Okay, I need a fight scene.
Right.
Don't do that, MCU. Don't do this with Blade. Don't you do it. Don't you have Blade have a vampire and his blade, and you say, "Come on, suckhead," and he just punch him, and he's like, "Oh, this vampire killer is real. Let me get out of here." No, bring the fight. Bring it. Don't stop this one punch nonsense.
I do agree with you that final fight scene. I know it was the end of the episode, but it was very rushed. I think that was the low point of the episode for me. Was that last portion? Titania
what
burst
was this
in,
long ass kick?
Oh yeah,
you saw the kick. You saw the kick coming a mile away. It's like I'm trying to remember what movie that was where you saw that same kick, and it was like,
I don't know.
Really, I don't remember.
But yeah, just that the slow motion kick coming from a mile away, and then like you said, just one punch straight to the gut, blast Titania. She back up against the wall. She's knocked out. End of fight. So it's like Titania is one of She-Hulk's biggest villains in the comics. It's like one of those, Batman, your Joker, your Superman, Lex Luthor, one of those formidable opponents, one of the people that
say that word again.
Formidable.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it.
But that's like her main antagonist in the comics. So you introduce this character who's supposed to be the main antagonist, and you have this your titular character take her out with one punch.
Now you're just showing off. Now you're just showing off that you can say big words.
I like we had the whole fight scene between Hulk and She-Hulk and them rolling around the beach in the mountains in Mexico to the point to where they destroyed the bar. And I appreciated that fight scene because we got to showcase the things that Hulk was capable of. How he didn't even want to fight Jennifer. But like she hit him, she knocked him into the well, she didn't hit him. She had him on the car and she kind of like flung him into the rocks. And so, like, she punched him in the face, and you could see that he was like, "Okay, you hit me. Like what? I really don't want to do this. I'm not trying to fight you, but it came
when those surfboards came in the face and his glasses were broke. Clearly, she doesn't know how much the glasses cost in that size. So, because he's not, he's Hulk, he's smart Hulk, but he's still massive. I mean, let's be honest. You can see his drinks.
Right, as She-Hulk, she's 6'7", and he's still like significantly taller than her. So, but having that fight scene and showing that fight scene and showcasing that scene, the things that she's capable of, I felt like they could have at least had a little bit more of a fight, because if you don't know who you're going up against and you don't know what they're capable of, you're not just gonna go like just straight into it. And not knowing, like, you need to understand who you're going up against. At least, as a person who has experience fighting, that you need to understand your opponent before you can just be like, all right, well, I know what I'm about to do. And again, like you said, we don't know what the time lapse in between her leaving Mexico and then getting to this case. So we don't know what all she has done in between that. So she could be, have some practice in fighting or in fighting opponents. Maybe this isn't even the first time that she's fought Titania, so she may be familiar with her at this point already. But since we as an audience don't necessarily know that at this point in the series, maybe that's why they kept it so short. But yeah, that was probably the low point for me. Just being that one punch and it's over, and then it's done with, and it's like, okay, yeah, very lackluster.
B story.
Or it could become the A story. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen.
I'm saying what is our B story in this series, episode 1? I mean, it may be hard to tell because if they do it like they did Miss Marvel, you get more of the B story later on. But as of right now, there's no B story. There's hints at a B story with Hulk's I don't want to call him a bastard son, but he did leave Sakaar. um, and the definition of a bastard is the father that left, right? Well, maybe he
Right.
didn't know he was a father. It was yet to be seen. We don't
Right.
even know if there's a son involved. We're just
And
speculating because
we
in the
don't know if we're
comics,
gonna figure that out during this series. We might not. They might not touch on
there
it yet.
there is a relationship that happens for anybody that doesn't know the Planet Hulk storyline. Hulk goes to the Sakaar planet and gets married and has a kid, and he ends up he was actually sent off world by the Illuminati, which is not the same Illuminati that was in a different universe, but it's
That's
still a
a
Illuminati.
whole other
That's a
story.
whole nother video. Um, they send him off. He goes to Sakaar. He still becomes a gladiator. So Ragnarok was loosely adapted with the World Hulker storyline. I said that incredibly wrong. Planet Hulk storyline. I don't know where I got Hulker from. Just let it go
World
or
Hulker.
hit it in the comments. Yeah,
Gotten a combination
something
of
like that.
all of that.
That's what I do. I merge words and make them phenomenal. Anyway, the bottom
New
line is
words.
I was well, you know what they said. What did Thor say on the
All
galaxy?
words are
On
made up.
no words are
You
made
made up
up.
that word. No, he said all
See,
words
that's
are
a
made up
made up
words.
word.
All
Yeah,
words are
there's
made
no
up
such thing
words.
as a made up. Yeah, exactly. Point being, we don't know where the storyline is going to go as far as the B story. I don't think there really was one. We were the B story. When she broke the fourth wall and started talking to us, we understand that we're in this journey with her, learning how to be a Hulk.
Or
I don't
learning to
feel like I
accept
was.
her Hulkness.
I don't think I was robbed in the backstory. I think they did a good job wrapping it up. Even if you're not a She-Hulk attorney at law fan, there was enough in this show that it can be a standalone. I think so.
Yeah.
But I know we did the trailer review in reaction to this. The internet was talking since the trailer that the CGI was bad. It's just
Right.
like, come on, Disney, put some money on the CGI. And I think you guys got to realize that when these trailers are cut, it's not the complete show. There's
Right.
still a lot of stuff that they're adding in. It's just to get you guys excited about the screening or the show or something of that nature to drum up conversation. What are your thoughts on the CGI now, Spider, that it's officially out? Do you feel as though it's still lacking or is it caught up? Are we looking at a Luke Skywalker in the Mandalorian type of situation where they horribly CGI'd his face
I mean, that was,
onto a
yeah, that was the whole
so
de-aging
disjarring?
thing and putting it on a different person's body and all that kind of stuff. Honestly, for She-Hulk, I'll be 100% honest with you. The CGI was the least of my concerns. I was so invested in the story and what was going on that me watching She-Hulk and Smart Hulk have a conversation both in Hulk forms. I was more invested in the conversation that they were having. They were doing yoga, or I forget what they called the type of meditation that they were doing. But they were doing the yoga, they were doing their training, throwing rocks. They did the thunderclap. They brought the thunderclap back, which we haven't seen in I don't know how long. Probably since the Incredible Hulk movie. But no, I didn't. Nothing about the CGI stood out to me to where it like took me out of the immersion of the story that they were trying to tell in that moment. To where I looked at it, was like, oh, that that doesn't look right, or that looks bad, or anything like that. It didn't bother me. Not to say that it's not where it could have been or anything like that. Of course, I am not a
Whoa, what the
VFX
hell?
expert.
What do you want? What do you want? What would you have wanted more so? You saying it didn't bother you, but you're saying it
That's what I'm
like it could
saying.
have been better.
No, that's
But
what
you're
I'm
saying
saying.
it could have been better.
No, I'm saying I didn't notice if there was anything about it that could have been better. There was nothing that stood
Ah,
out to me. That was like, oh, well, they could have changed this.
ah,
That should have, I like I said, I'm not a VFX expert, so I'm not the type of person to say, oh, that lighting is off, oh, that coloration is off, or anything like that.
no,
I
no.
don't see these things. So I don't know. Maybe you
It's
saw
that long
something.
ass drop kick. That's what I saw. That long ass drop kick that started from the wall and crossed like six
The
people.
whole entire
Then she.
courtroom.
It's like, okay, all right.
But no, did you
Clearly, we
based
got
on the
time to
things
kill.
based on the complaints that were received from the trailer, did you see anything for the VFX or the CGI that gave you pause?
Listen, they cleaned up a lot of what they had going on from the trailer. And again, I wasn't expecting them not to because I know that when they release a trailer, it's to get conversation. Listen, who was that dropped that trailer with a horrible Sonic? They dropped the
That
trailer.
was the Sonic. That was the Sonic movie, the original Sonic movie. Well, the
They
first
got
Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
so much backlash
About his
because
teeth.
Sonic looked creepy. He just looked new.
Yeah.
And then it's like either they were trolling us to get us to talk about it, or they were really still working on the CGI.
Right.
I'm sorry, my producer was over there trying to tell me something. I don't know what the hell she was saying. When I say my producer, I mean my wife.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so it's come to the question, Spider.
Mm-hmm.
We're sitting here, we're talking about it. We're talking about She-Hulk, attorney at law. We want to know the question.
$100 million
Is it,
question.
is it super?
I'd say it is
Is it
super.
super? From
In
episode one, you're gonna say, okay, is episode one super, or we're saying this whole
of course,
series
I can't
is
say
gonna be
that the whole
super?
series is super. I loved episode one. I thought it was funny in the places where it intended it to be funny. I thought it gave us really good backstory in the places where it gave us backstory. I felt like it gave us a lot of insight into Hulk and the things that he's had to endure as the Hulk. Even that little, back references to him being friends with Tony and him and Tony during the blip, and, coming together, building that laboratory and everything like that. And I feel like where they're going with this type of show, because it's sort of a law comedy, but still have the dramatic elements in it as well, so, those serious moments. I felt like the mix in between the two was still good. We still got the little bit of action, we got the little bit of comedy, we got the little bit of seriousness. It all meshed very well together for me. So I say episode one of She-Hulk Attorney at Law, I think it's super. What do you say, Mr. VIP Frankie Washington?
I'm pausing for dramatic effect.
Okay.
And now that that's done, because I ruined it by saying what I was doing, yes, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think She-Hulk Attorney at Law is super because of everything that they did. Like I said, I don't feel cheated by the backstory, even though I know the backstory in the comics. They took what they wanted and they left the rest on the cutting room floor. It makes sense. I'm invested in the story thus far. I'm not going to say I was a She-Hulk fan before this. I think I will be a She-Hulk fan after this. I think it's which we haven't spoke on, and normally we do. This is an all-female cast. I mean, not all-female cast of workers that putting the show together, and so
Director,
it doesn't director
writer,
exactly.
Yeah,
and it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like it's a agenda pushed type of situation that I have to sit through
right.
to know whether this is going to play a part in the main MCU or not. It doesn't feel like I need to know if it plays a part in the main. Like, even though we're talking about the time jump and the derelation of when this is happening, it don't matter. It doesn't matter. It feels like it needs to be its own thing. And if it does tie into the main MCU, great. If it doesn't, who cares? It still seems like a very enjoyable show. Unlike some other shows that we watch from the MCU that feels like, when is this? Why is this? How is this? Why do I care? I'm very invested thus far and know nothing more about the stuff that Jennifer Walters is going through besides the stuff that we spoke about, but want to see more. So how were they able to calculate that in this versus that in the other shows that you really didn't care anything about the character. And I leave that open for everybody because there are some characters that you were introduced to that you probably don't care about.
Right.
But if you're going into this and not really caring about it, I think you're looking at it wrong. I think you should give it an opportunity and a chance to actually see where this is going. And I know that seems very early to say because this is episode one, but the way they've done episode one, it's not like when we previously reviewed like a different property in episode one where I'm like, what are we doing? I felt very fulfilled and very satisfied with the show. And here's something that we rarely talk about, but we do talk about, but rarely talk about it: rewatchability.
Mm-hmm.
I think I can go back and rewatch this show and enjoy it still. Not saying that I have to watch it in slow mo or fast mo or anything like that. Like just really watch it again and enjoy it.
Yeah.
So if they keep that going on, you may have one, and this is arguably one of the first shows on Disney Plus that you don't mind watching again. Mm-hmm. And probably will want to watch more episodic shows. How many episodes are we getting of this? 6? Is it the magic 6?
I want to say it's 10. But keep giving your thoughts. I'm going to look it up and I'm going to see.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They finally getting out of this situation of keep giving us 6 episodes because 6 is just not enough. It's not working. It doesn't give you enough time to flush out all the things that you need to flush out. It's not an extended movie. You have to treat it like an episodic show. In each episode, you need to be pushing the narrative forward at least a little bit so to keep us in tune to go to the next episode. If you're not doing that, you're going to lose your audience. Period. Right. It's nothing to do with me or Spider or this show or these awesome T-shirts. That you're going to lose your audience if you're not giving us something that we need to be invested in. So this show, episode 1, in my opinion, has done that. Even if I don't know who Titania is, I see this beautiful lady come busting through the wall. That's the first thing to think about is not the puncher. I can tell you that. There was no dialogue in that at all. You just know she punched through the wall, and then she did an incredibly long slow drop kick. Slow. That might be her superpower. You know, I would have liked.
Puts herself into slow motion.
That would be hilarious. Wasn't
that one of the supers in Diabolical? The guy that was talking, he was just slow motion. He
was stabbing the guy.
He was choking his dad out in slow motion.
He's like, you can do it. You're choking. The audacity to stay there and let him choke you. You could have easily just
we're done with that. God!
So that's hilarious. I would love to have some dialogue with that. Like you said, that was the one downside because they kind of rushed through it because it was the end of the episode. Yeah. How many episodes are we getting?
9 episodes.
Okay, so shit on that. That's shitty. It should have been 10. But you would have had more time to.
9, but yeah,
that don't make any sense. But you have more time to develop.
Better than 6,
I am here. As Titania, I am here for XYZ reasons, and that's not happening today. And if that was all that we got, that would have been better than what we got. But nothing is perfect, and there's always room for growth. But I still think it's super on account of everything else that led up to that. And if so they just remedy that by giving it more episodes, they won't have run into those issues.
Yeah, and we know we're going to get more Titania throughout the series. We've seen in the trailers.
We should.
Yeah, we've seen in the trailers there are going to be different scenes with Titania, and also we're going to get Blonsky, of course, is still going to come in. We're going to get Daredevil. We're going to get.
We haven't even talked about all of that. We're just focusing on episode 1.
More. Right, there's so much more that's yet to come. So some of these like little gripes that we have with episode 1, they may be explained in further episodes, or they may be corrected or remedied, so we won't have the same little gripes in the rest of the episode.
Like
we said, we got 9 episodes.
Slow motion kick again. Just think about if your girl was like, "Hey," right, and you looking at her like, "Hey," and then she just run and jump in slow motion. You got time to like go to the kitchen and get a drink of water, maybe fix a sandwich, and then come back. She's still like coming slowly.
But your first thought is not going to be the puncher. Your first thought is not going to be the puncher in the stomach, though.
It all depends on which day of the week it is.
Wow. All right. So if you want to leave your thoughts about She-Hulk,
She-Hulk did it. I'm just saying.
That's what we're saying. We're going to kind of find out exactly why. That's why I think that they may have met before. There had to be a reason why she punched Titania.
Just punch this out of her character. It just feels weird. It's like, okay, so you're dealing with being a Hulk and dealing with superhero stuff, and this first interaction, I'm going to punch you in the gut.
Right.
It's like, you wouldn't think, hey, who are you and why are you not using the door? What is going on? He's like, and she could be like, shut up. I'm here for him. and you could have stood up and say, well, not today. We're going to talk about this like adults. And then here's the thing. Slap her. Slap Jennifer Walters. Why? Because this is why. You'll see her dealing with her. You remember in the other Hulk where the guy slapped Bruce and you saw Bruce's eyes go green and he had to calm himself down? You see her get slapped, would have been a nice callback, and she just don't calm down. She just hulks out and then punches her in the gut. I would have been like, perfect.
You're making me hungry, and you wouldn't like me when I'm hungry.
I remember that. That was hilarious.
And the dude was like,
can we get a multiversal with Ed Norton? Would Ed Norton come back and be the Hulk again?
I don't know if Edward Norton wants to come back. Maybe I know, because I know that one of the reason that he didn't want to come back as Bruce Banner and Hulk, and I know we're getting a little bit long in the episode, was that because he didn't want to be typecast. He didn't want to be stuck in that MCU role. He wanted to,
he's too talented to be stuck in any role.
Right.
Did you see him when he played? I'm not going to talk about it. Like he's too talented to be stuck in any role.
He's a talented actor, but yeah. So I think that's the reason why he didn't want to initially carry on as Bruce Banner. But would he come back in another multiversal, like a variant of Bruce Banner? Maybe, I don't know.
That would be awesome, and then we could see those Hulks at least thunderclap together. You think about remember the Hulks on Disney Plus? Was it on it's on Disney, like the Hulks? You had Red Hulk, you had She-Hulk, you had
Hulks and the Agent of Smash.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's the one. So we could get something like that. I might be throwing too much out there.
I don't know.
She-Hulk, attorney at law.
I was wondering if there's gonna be an introduction to Red Hulk when we got the Thunderbolts, but unfortunately, William Hurt, rest in peace, Thaddeus Ross, didn't get to. Unfortunately, he passed away before we got to see the Thunderbolts realize.
Gone too soon.
He was a great, because before. Tony Stark held the MCU together. Thaddeus Ross was the one that was tied and everything. He was part of the first post-credit scene. So he bridged the gap between, He
is the reason that we got a Abomination.
Right. So, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what they do with the different versions of Hulk and bringing Abomination in and everything.
And that's what I'm saying. We want to see this show. We want to see what's going on. It's not like what I remember saying previously on different iterations of MCU shows that we were reviewing. I don't care. I don't want to see this. But this is something that I didn't go into this with, I can't wait to see She-Hulk. I went into this 100% clean slate, open-minded, and open to the idea of what is this going to be. And I'm intrigued and interested. I want to see what it's going to be. Is it because it's Hulk? No. Right. I would have did the same thing with Taskmaster. I would have did the same thing with any of the MCU properties because I'm an MCU head, but at the same time, this is standing on its own as something that's engaging and I want to watch it. And if you don't know if you should be watching it by this time, watching this video, then I strongly encourage you to go and watch it and pay close attention to that long ass drop kick. You can probably set your watch by it.
Probably. But let us know in the comments below what you thought about the first episode of She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. Did you like it? If there was anything about it that you didn't really care for too much, let us know. Let us know in the comments what you think about it.
Are we going to get a Hulk smash?
Maybe. We don't know. We'll find out.
I don't know.
If you like this video, remember, go ahead and hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell so you can be notified
look foolish every time I do this.
God, hit the bell to be notified whenever we have a new episode come out. But if you want to find us on audio podcast, you can find us on any of your major podcast streaming services. And if you want to keep in touch with us and join the conversation, you can tweet at us at ATSuperPod. But we enjoyed She-Hulk. We think that you'll enjoy it too.
I enjoy our what we call them, family, fan base. I want to call you guys family because I love y'all and I enjoy them for coming on here and listening to us have conversations that are unscripted about some of the favorite properties that we look at and deem them if they're super or not. And you guys are more than welcome to join the conversation because everything ain't. And then some things are.
Now, some things are, some things are not. But till next time, we'll see you in the next episode.